Ladies and gentlemen, Konkणीन आमी म्हणटा येवकार. So येवकार means welcome to this first session of HLF, and which is a much awaited session. The keynote address by our most respected Damodar Mauzo, who we call Bhai back home. And I'm so happy to know that even across the country and in the fraternity of writers, he is known by the same name. So it is my pleasure, privilege, and extreme honor to be here today. To be invited to the HLF and to speak with our beloved Bhai over here in an audience that I know is so keen to hear him speak. Representing our little state of Goa and our beautiful language of Konkani is a very emotional moment for me today. In fact, after that tear-jerking inaugural anthem, it took me a while to gather myself, but thankfully Amita, Vijayji, and our distinguished speakers from the days, kind of opened up this whole festival, and we are here today to hear what we are most keen to hear Bhai speak. So as we start the conversation, I'm going to prompt Bhai into the things he loves the most: language, literature, and freedom. So Konkani language, to most of you who know about it, who know it, and who have read it or are looking forward to read it, Konkani language is a language with history, I think, like none other Indian languages. So Bhai is going to take us through this journey. And so we're going back into, the pre-liberation times. We're coming into a freshly liberated Goa. So it's going to be a beautiful journey that you're going to hear from Bhai now. Him as an emerging writer when Goa was not even considered a language. So he belongs to the first generation of writers who brings out formal literature in a language which probably was just called a dialect until then. And then there is an immense struggle for identity for Goa itself, which was asserted through the opinion poll of 1967, and then the language agitation which went through the 80s, where we asked for 8th schedule representation and recognition to the language, to the state of Goa, a demand for the state of Goa. And with that, Bhai is going to take us and get us to this point where, again, as Konkani speakers, as Konkani lovers, as Goans, we are at a threshold again. Because there is an amazing change in the demography and the cultural scenario in Goa. Migration from Goa into other places of the country and to the rest of the world, and migration within Goa from the rest of the world and the country. How do we stand today? How does the language stand today? Bhai, can we go through that?
Thank you, Pritha, and thank you all. Well, I'm conscious of the time constraint, and story of Konkani is quite a lengthy one, but I'll try to be as short as possible. Story of Konkani language is a story of resurgence of phoenix. Let me talk about Goa first. Goa is not what Goa today you see with the political boundaries. It was a much bigger region Konkani-speaking people's region. Unfortunately, Goa was never ruled by any Goans as such in the long history, from Mauryas to Shakavahanas and so many, Satavahana and then Yadavas. But if you look at the recent history also of past few hundred years, half a millennium you can say, we find that we were ruled by Rashtrakutas and Shilaharas and Kadambas, and then Yadavas, and then Vijayanaгаras, and then the Sultanate, Bahmani Sultanate, and then last was Adil Shah before the Portuguese took over Goa. They did not, in the beginning, they did not capture entire Goa, which you see today, but parts of Goa. But the coming of Portuguese on our land was a cultural shock for the people. They came with certain ambition. The first were the Portuguese traders who landed on the coast of Goa. They had clear in their mind that they have come to trade. But the moment the Portuguese traders, led by Afonso de Albuquerque, and then followed by the missionaries who came, it was a disaster to Goa, spelled to Goa. So, after going through several phases, you know what conversions meant for the people of Goa. They did not mind taking over, facing the Buddhist conversions, or Mahavira came to Goa. They never thought that it is a conversion of that type. But then when the Portuguese missionaries came and accosted them, the missionaries took advantage of the naivety of our people. Just throw a piece of meat in the well, and everyone who drinks the water of the well is converted, stands converted. Leave aside other people branding them as converts. They themselves, whoever drunk by innocently, even they feel, oh, we have now lost our religion because we have drunk the water from this well. Such way, the conversion started taking place. The people were scared of conversions, and when the missionaries got support from the rulers, colonial rulers, they became very aggressive. This is the time when people thought that better we leave Goa, and they left in exodus, left the shores of Goa in search of a place to live in. And most of them settled in neighboring Karnataka and beyond Kerala, up to Cochin. They settled along the coast, and some of them, of course, went to Mumbai and other places. So they were out of scare of conversions. The first lot went in an exodus. But this was not an end to it. The missionaries were keen on culturally, not only religiously, culturally convert the people. So they objected to the new converts who are already embraced, or rather forced to embrace the Christianity. So they were forced to give up dhotis and wear pants. For them, it was a cultural shock again. I'm talking about 450, not only, now it is more than 500 years. 1510, the Portuguese arrived, and then 1530, 40, they started conversions. All the temples were demolished in the first phase, and it was a mistake for them, which was brought to their notice later, that along with the temples that were demolished, also the literature which prevailed then was also demolished, because they were burnt. All the papers were burnt, thinking that it is a pagan literature. Unfortunately, they got, rather fortunately for us, they got the directives from Rome to go among the people and learn the language, because they didn't have any material on hand. So they, because they themselves had destroyed whatever literature was available then. And what was the literature in 1550s, you can say? What was the literature? Of course, religious. Nothing else. Nobody would write short stories and novels that time. But of course, there were some stories of Ramayana and some stories from Mahabharata written in Konkani that time, which came to the fore later. So first, at the outset, they burnt all the literature, and then when they got the directives, go to the village chowk and learn the language from the people, spoken word by word, and they were given specific timings every day. 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. They have to go to the marketplace, discuss or converse with the people, learn the language, then write down. So they wrote in Devanagari script that time, which was prevailing then. And that was the time when Konkani and Marathi were coexisting. Doesn't mean that spoken language was Konkani. There were two things which you should know. Konkani did not produce any bhakti sahitya. In all languages, including Telugu, we had saint literature produced in the 16th and 17th century and also 18th. Unfortunately, in Goa, when the Portuguese arrived, we did not, or rather we had hardly any saint literature, bhakti sahitya produced or written in Konkani. So when the Portuguese came and the converts, out of fear of conversion, many Goans fled away from Goa. Then it was not the end of the atrocities. Those who were converted were also penalized or given punishments for adhering to the old traditions. Like nariyal, the coconut, is considered as holy. So people would take the the coconut and place it before Jesus Christ. But they were forbidden from doing that. They were forbidden from following the old traditions, the Hindu traditions, they thought, because they considered it as a pagan, because people were idol worshippers. So there was second exodus. When the new converts, though they had already accepted Christianity, they were getting punished for nothing. So they ran away in exodus, and as a result, we find all this Goan community of that period who settled on the coastal line of Karnataka. You probably are aware the number of Konkani speakers in Mangalore region. So in Mangalore and around Mangalore, you will find Hindus who speak Konkani, and you will find converted Christians also speaking Konkani. So this is the fate of Konkani. Those who went to Kerala, they also kept up their language alive. They went to schools, learnt Malayalam, and in order to keep their language alive, they adopted Malayalam script to their language. Same thing happened to Konkani in Karnataka. They adopted Kannada script, and even today, a number of books are getting published in Kannada script. Then those who went to Bhatkar and those areas to Urdu schools, they learnt Urdu and they adopted Perso-Arabic script to Konkani. Those who went to Portuguese school, they loved their language. They did not want to give up their language. So they went to Portuguese school, learnt the Latin alphabet, and in the Roman script, they started writing in Konkani. So language was at their heart, and they, as a result of which, we have Konkani language or Konkani writing happening in 5 different scripts. Perso-Arabic, Kannada script, Malayalam script, and then the Roman alphabet script. and also its original Devanagari script. So today, official language and official script is Devanagari. So Konkani written in Devanagari script is accepted as official version of Konkani. But there is no difference in the language. The people of Goa who speak, the Christians who speak Konkani, they continue to write, some people, they write in Roman script, and it is acceptable to us. And they go to school and learn Devanagari script for Konkani. So this is the problem that we have. It has, in a way we are at an advantage, because Konkani is probably one of the many languages which can be written, or which is continued to be written in 5 different scripts. But it is to our disadvantage if I write a book in Devanagari, it is not followed by the person in Kerala who writes and reads in Malayalam script. So this is the disadvantage to us. But we have consciously come to a conclusion as a Konkani community, irrespective of religions, irrespective of regions, we have come to a conclusion and a resolution that Konkani in Devanagari script has to continue as a common script for all the people living in different regions. Today, the people in Kerala, in Kochi and Mumbai, they have virtually given up writing in Malayalam script, and they have adopted only Devanagari. They are schools. They teach their children to go to schools and learn Devanagari. So this is it's a slow process. You can't impose upon the people any script. So people in Karnataka, they continue to write in Kannada script. But I'm very happy. The quality of the language and literature is excellent. So we look forward to the people to come someday to a common platform where script will be one. But we should not impose it upon them. So this is the state of language. After liberation, we had one major hurdle, which was a threat from the expansionist forces of the neighboring state, Maharashtra, which always looked upon Konkani as its dialect. Okay, it's your dialect, no? Then respect your dialects. Why you hate your dialects? This is the politicization of any language and script. This should not have happened. Because when I went to Mumbai, I was not sure which is my mother tongue, whether it's a Konkani or it's a dialect of Marathi. But then, after going to Mumbai, I realized I was doing a mistake. Rather, I became very clear in my mind that Konkani is the language of Konkani people. It's a language, not a dialect, and I can best express in Konkani. That is why after I finished my, as I was doing my college education, I started writing in Konkani in Devanagari script. I know Marathi very well. I can write in English. I've written books in English, but they are not creative writing. I have written books of a collection of articles which I wrote, wrote for some periodicals or some speeches I made, and then some lectures that I had given. The collection is called as the Ink of Dissent. The very reason, we'll come to that later, the Ink of Dissent also is significant. We, the Goans, and we, the Konkani people, always had to raise our voice against the atrocities that were happening to our language, to our literature, and to our people. I think I have tried to sum up to the best of my knowledge, but as I was talking about the language controversy, language and dialect controversy that continued for years. But then fortunately, the Sahitya Academy came to our rescue. They studied the issue and they declared that Konkani is an independent literary language. That was the biggest support that we got from the Sahitya Akademi, the Central Academy of Letters. Then, when there was again the issue of merger, probably you are aware or not, I'm not sure. Goa is the only state, rather, in the entire history of India, the only referendum that was taken was in Goa, where Goans were asked to decide whether they want to merge with Maharashtra or keep their identity, separate identity. So I'm very happy that majority people, in spite of extensive efforts from the neighboring state, the expansionist forces trying to convince the people that we will give you so many things, and they were offered on platter, but then people voted against merger, and that is the reason why we see Goa as a separate state today. And then we had to fight. So we continued to fight for the official language status for Konkani. It was unfortunate that when, after the independence of India, Goa remained a colonial region. And because all the states of India were based on linguistic basis, they were formed. And that was the time when Konkani and Goa was not inside, not the part of India. So we had to fight to get recognition to our language, and we had to take to streets. A lot of things happened. Many people died in the agitation. I had to suffer myself also the heavy lathi charge, but then it did not matter. Finally, after about nearly 2 years of agitation, violent agitation, finally we got the official language status to Goa, to Konkani. So this was the long fight, and then we got the separate statehood, and immediately thereafter, Konkani was included in the 8th schedule of the Constitution, and I'm happy that we were freed, we were liberated from the other concerns, other apprehensions, and we could dedicate our time to bringing up the standard of our literature. And one thing, I'm sorry, I'm getting late, I know, but Konkani people, though their language did not get the official status or not recognized by others, they were abreast of what is happening in literature across the language. The Konkani, those literate in Konkani, they knew good Portuguese. And for your information, Portuguese was one language, rather is one language, which brings the other literatures in the European languages into Portuguese. So, for example, Stefan Zweig was first translated into Portuguese. And the Portuguese literature came to Goa. So before any Indians had access to Stefan Zweig, it was Goans who read Stefan Zweig and other contemporaries. So I'm just telling you, whether it is German literature or French literature or English, it came to Goa through Portuguese. So in a way, we were at an advantage to have access to not only Indian literature, but also the international literature. So in a way, it's a long way, long journey for Konkani to come to this level. Today, I'm very happy that Konkani is one of the 22 languages recognized by the Constitution of India, and probably we are reaping some benefits also, whether Sahitya Akademi awards or even Jnanpith Award has come my way only because I write in a language that is approved by the Constitution of India. So that is the long journey. I just talk enough, I think, about language. So sorry, Pritha. Please continue.
Thank you, Bhai. That was a journey over at least 5 decades, the 5 decades that have passed, in which you have had a glimpse of Bhai the activist. So think of a young Bhai 55 years ago when the opinion poll happened. A very, like a watershed moment in the history of Goa. And Bhai and his generation of writers, the way they garnered the support and under the banner of Kokani Prajecho Awaz, it was called Kokani Prajecho Awaz, who fought for the official status of, official Indian language. And that is how we are happy to be here at the HLF as one of India's regional languages. After this journey of a language, literally a geographical migration across 4 states, 5 scripts. I don't know if any other language can really compete with that. So now we go into something that is really, really dear to Bhai, and it is literature. Not just his own literature, but the Kokani literature that has been produced over the last few decades.
Shall I interrupt a bit?
Yes.
At the inaugural session, it was mentioned that, and it is true, that the last census, the number of Kokani speakers as shown as declined. But frankly, in my opinion, it has not declined. It may not have gone up very substantially, but then it has not declined. The reason is political. Many people who speak Konkani at home, they do not want to write as Konkani for different reasons. I don't have time enough to discuss it, but it is happening. And for political reasons, some people do not want to associate. Those people who live in, say, Karnataka, they want to take all the benefits from the government by calling themselves as Kannadigas rather than Konkanis. Then same thing happens in Malayalam. There are many people in Kerala who do not belong to, who are rather marginalized communities, but they claim themselves, though they speak Konkani at home, they claim themselves as Malayalis to draw benefits from the government, claiming on the caste status and other status. So let us forget about it. The number is not declining, neither of Urdu language nor of Konkani language. These are the 2 languages mentioned in the census that the number is declining.
Thank you for that, Bhai. Now coming to literature, Bhai as a writer emerged after he came back from his college education and joined his family business. His family business, where he joined his uncle, was they ran a grocery business in the village that he comes from. A sleepy, quaint, beautiful South Goa village called Majorda. And Bhai has this beautiful home. Next to it is his family, the shop that he has sat in. But and because I have heard him speak on several other occasions back home, one of the things he says is when he sat there, he was doing what he needed for the family. He was running the family business. And then there were people coming from around his village to buy their provisions. And they bought their provisions, and as they bought, the interactions are what built in Bhai for him to, create his characters. And that is why his literature, his short stories, his novels have actually been based on very strong characters. The characters stand out. And he's going to tell you more about it, not me. But why I want to say this is I always said that Bhai, the transaction was of grain, but he gave them grain and they gave him seeds. Seeds for his thoughts, seeds for his character, seeds for his writing. And that is what you're going to see. But I think Bhai would also like to speak about Kokani literature in totality, not just his own. Bhai, thank you.
Well, thank you, Pritha. Just see, 1966 I graduated. I graduated from in commerce. I always wanted to go for arts. but my family was against it. They said, no, you have good marks in science and maths, so go for science, which I declined. Then they said, okay, as a via media, you don't want to go for science, and we don't want you to go to arts, so go for commerce. So I graduated in 1966, and then of course, there was pressure on me to go for jobs, because the employment was so easily available. Goa was just liberated, and I had already graduated from a college. But then I insisted, rather I chose to remain a shopkeeper, then go and join the government job. I think inside my mind, I always wanted to remain connected with the people. And you will see my wife sitting here. She's also a graduate in commerce, again 1 year junior to me. But though we both had ample of job opportunities, we preferred to remain in the village and probably to remain connected. And besides, on her behalf, I can only say she wanted to give me time enough to write, so she took most of the responsibility of the shop, and so finally, let me share with you one thing. I am a shopkeeper in a village. Rather, I closed recently. But because I was a shopkeeper, I have become a writer. Because I could meet the people, I could see their grievances, I could easily connect with their problems, village problems, their family problems. And the village is not a very small village as such, with a population of about 8,000 to 10,000. But then they would love to share their grievances with me. Sometimes even their husband and wife, quarreling, even then they would come and share with me. So what I mean, because I could keep up the connect with the people, I could depict the same lifestyle of Goans in my writings. So I don't think I should talk much about my books unless you read or you have any specific questions. Probably after this session we can meet and talk about it. But then one thing I can tell you, I started writing sometime in 1963, 64, and even today I keep writing. I am not done with. And I'm happy. As Pritha said, I was among the early writers, particularly fiction writers. Of course, I had some seniors, 1 or 2. And for your information, I had a stalwart of Konkani literature, Ravindra Kelekar, who is also a Jnanpith awardee. He got award some 16, 17 years back. And he is the only Jnanpith awardee, only essayist to get the Jnanpith award. No other essayist have earned this award. Poets, fiction writers, even playwrights, they have been awarded Jnanpith, but not to any essayist. So I'm very proud about Ravindra Kelekar, who was the first recipient of Jnanpith for Konkani. There are a number of writers who continue to write. We have Pundalik Naik, who is one of the foremost playwrights. Unfortunately, he is not translated into other languages. I would have said he is a national, I could have rated him as a national level playwright, but unfortunately he is restricted to Konkani only. So it is not happening on a big scale. The translations are not happening on a larger scale, which ought to have happened. But we have a lot of poets. Pritha's father-in-law, Dr. Pritha Sardessai, himself was a French scholar, but a great poet of Konkani. If he was alive, probably he would have been the Jnanpith awardee even before it came my way. So anyway, but I'm happy with the journey of Konkani literature so far. Number of young writers are taking up to writing Konkani. Those whose families never had access to literature or even letters, those who did not go to school, their children have gone to school and started writing, and they write with such authenticity. So I'm very proud of them.
Thank you, Bhai. Around. And unfortunately, after the assassination of Professor Karburgi and Professor Dabolkar before that, Bhai was very strong in his letter to the Sahitya Academy chief at that time. And then during the interrogation of Gauri Lankesh, assassination of Gauri Lankesh, the SIT found that Bhai's life also was under threat. Life has changed for Bhai since then. It was 2018, 16. And you know, he has a security, personal security who follows him wherever he goes. So it is probably, so we just want to hear from him his sentiments about his freedom, his strong words when he says ink of dissent. And of course, if he can just point out how life has changed, has it restricted him in any form?
Well, I must compliment the HLF organizers who have drafted the program. They called it freedoms, not freedom. Freedoms of any kind. I think it's our entitlement. You know, I have full faith in our constitution, the Constitution of India, which gives us 4 fundamental rights. And at no cost, any one of you or us should give up or forgo it. Right to equality, right to liberty, right to justice, and fraternity. These are the 4 fundamental rights given to all Indians. And at no cost, please, if there are any students, please take cognizance of it. And never forego these rights, and never allow anybody to interfere with our rights. When we say freedom, yes, freedom, our forefathers have earned this freedom at a great price. We probably feel that we got it on the platter, but no. And that is the reason why I fight for these freedoms. Freedom to dress. Why should anybody interfere with us what I should wear or what I should not wear? As long as I am decently I wear decently, that's enough. Right to eat. I'm freedom to eat. Nobody can tell me you don't eat fish, be vegetarian. It's happening. It's strange. In these days, in last few days back, I heard that some people entered I believe it is JNU, where some students of ABVP entered and protested against serving food, non-veg food in the canteens. This should not happen. If they are wrong, the perpetrators should be corrected. It should be told. Don't go for violence. I don't like it. But we have other ways to protect and protest. Protect our rights and protest against injustice. No injustice should be meted out to anybody, and no one should meddle with our right to freedom, right to liberty. If this is very important, everybody should. I am not doing anything, something odd or something out of the world. No. Only thing what I do, I know those people who want to give a life threat to me, they are the cowards. They are the cowards. We should keep it in mind. So that is the reason why I am not scared of anything. Because these are the cowards. Even if they kill anybody, they have killed Narendra Dabolkar, they have successfully killed. For them, it may be they feel it is successful. They have killed Kalburgi, they have killed Pansare, and then finally they took toll of our bold and very, strong believer in freedom of expression, journalist, bold journalist, Gauri Lankesh. What did they earn? On the contrary, people like you and us, we feel rage against them. So these are the cowards. They have no guts to come in front. Nobody comes and says, I have killed. Why not? If you are convinced, come ahead and come in front of people of the justice system and tell them it's not happening. So what I mean to say, everyone should take care and should consider right to liberty as the most important of all other rights. These four fundamental rights we must preserve and fight for at any cost. And only let me express my apprehensions about some so-called writers who do not adhere, who are rather fearful, who are not bold enough, who are not courageous enough. There are some of the writers, they take pride in becoming cheerleaders for the people in the dispensation. This is very, very objectionable, not befitting to any writers, because writers will take their writings to the younger generation. The people in the dispensation, whoever it is, when Indira Gandhi declared emergency, we were the first to take to streets, the writers. Not pro-party. Let any political party be there, as long as they guard these four fundamental rights and the constitution that is provided to us by none other than the greats like Baba Saheb Ambedkar and his team. I don't think I can speak longer, but then I'm happy to tell you that I am here for the next 2 days also. So I have taken the invitation very seriously. And so I arrived here one day in advance, yesterday evening, thinking that today if the flight is late, I may be late for the inaugural. So with all sincerity, I'm here to be with you, to enjoy this festival and allow you to enjoy this festival. And thank you, Pritha, for making me speak for such a long time.
Thank you, Bhai. In fact, we haven't actually had enough. This story of Konkani and Bhai's personal sentiments about the language and literature could go on, but I think we are bound by time. But let me remind you, Bhai will be on the other side of the rock for you. Now, meet the author session. So your questions, book, signing, all of that will happen there. Thank you so much for being such a good audience. Thank you so much.